Welcome to Mike Ferry TV. We are well into December. We're almost at the end of the year. It's time to really think about what you're going to do if you haven't given it some thought. And I'm sure a lot of you have. I'm not going to spend any time today talking about business plans and business systems, but I want to talk about something that we brought up a week or two ago, I can't remember now, on what we would call goal setting and motivation. You know, and if you look at goal setting and motivation, you have to talk about the word success. When you talk about the word success, of course, that gets people either a little bit excited or a little bit depressed, depending on how well they are doing with their business and with their life. You know, you look at the word success, and it's really not very complicated. You know, success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal or objective. This, of course, comes from Earl Nightingale. I had the good fortune of spending a lot of time with him back in the 60s and 70s. Success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal or objective. Watch, progressive. I'm working towards something in 2015. Progressive realization. I can see myself doing what I've got written down as a goal for 2015. Worthwhile. The goal I have is worthwhile because it's going to allow me to live my life and provide for my family. Okay? So success, the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal or objective. But it starts the fact that you have to have a goal. What is your goal for 2015? For production and for income. Have you got some type of goal set for yourself? Earl Nightingale had that great sentence where he said, "You become what you think about most of the time. Therefore, if you think about your goals daily, they become a reality." You become what you think about most of the time. And it's true because, see, if you're sitting around thinking, well, I can never become successful and I could never become good and Bob over there is always going to be better than I am and Mary Lou's a much better agent than I am, and if that's what you actually think about, guess what? That reality always comes true. See, I say to people all the time, you're listening to the best speaker there is in the real estate industry. If I didn't believe that, how could I do my job for you? When you walk into a house, you have to believe you're the best agent available for that seller to sign a contract with tonight. If you don't believe that, guess what? Or as I've said time and time again, when you don't believe you're the best there is, at least your vote is unanimous because you're not the best. Guys and gals, see, we got to start thinking about the goal setting of what we want to accomplish to become better than we are and the motivation. Now, you've heard me say this time and time again, motivation. Watch, motive to action. Motivation, motive to action. Watch, I can't have motivation in my life if there's not a motive. The motive is the goal, the objective, the plan, the purpose, the dream, the passion. I want to accomplish that this year in 2015. If I don't have that out there, if I don't have the carrot in front of me, I have nothing to chase. So, watch, motive has to be part of motivation. To that action, to that goal, to that passion. Motivation, motive to action. What actions are you going to take? Somebody said to me last week, you know, Mike, I find that some of your messages are very inspiring. And I smiled and said, well, I thank you for that, but I'm not a motivational speaker. Never have been, never claimed to be. In fact, I've said, and some of you will chuckle, I'm probably a demotivational speaker. I probably get more people upset, mad, and really angry than anything else because when you look at the facts of life of what to do to become a great real estate agent, sometimes you don't want to hear those facts of life. Motivation is internal. It's not external. Watch, I've listened to Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and Cavett Robert and Bill Gove and Red Motley and some of these incredible, great motivational speakers. Ira Hayes, gosh, one of the best ever. Charlie Simmons. Some of these names are probably a little bit beyond your age limit. These are wonderful motivational speakers. But see, the trouble with motivation is when you walk out the door and you go home, if you don't have a concrete plan to follow to make something happen, nothing happens. So the concrete plan has to start in here, not out there. See, motivation, your motive to take action to accomplish X. What is your motive? What do you want to accomplish? What actions are you willing to take? Because the truth is, yes, you can be inspired. You can get excited temporarily by the great messages from all the great people. But the truth is, the real motive comes from the fact that you've decided on something you want. Now, here's what I wrote down. If each of us would create and set obtainable, short-term goals for 2015. We'll stay motivated and we'll keep moving forward. You know, if you by chance went to either one of the superstar retreats last year, Las Vegas or down in Hollywood, Florida, you know, we gave you probably several hundred points to follow on what you can do to build your business. We gave you a lot of points on how to take your business to the next level. And then we said at the end of the retreats, take 3 or 4 points each month, January, February, March, April, May, each month, 3 or 4 points, and incorporate them, put them to work. Watch short-term obtainable goals. I love the fact that you have a goal to sell 75 homes in 2015. What are you going to do in January? How many deals are you going to do? How many listings are you going to take? See, short-term obtainable goals. If you don't accomplish them, hey, it's not a big deal. But if you do, it builds your confidence to move forward. I wrote down this thought, okay? There's nothing you cannot have. Nothing you can't have once you've mentally accepted the fact that you can have it. Think about that. Can you achieve the goal you set? Yes. Now, is some outside motivational factor going to help you? Probably not. Internally, do you have to come at some kind of peace with the fact that you have to change your behavior to get to this level? Probably so. Because, watch, there's nothing you cannot have once you mentally decide you can have it. So I wrote down a little prescription. And I'm going to ask you to write it down. You'll probably have to watch this particular message 2 or 3 times this week to get this prescription down to understand it. Because basically what it is, it's a goal-setting system so you can internally motivate yourself to become the person in 2015 you've always wanted to become as a real estate professional and as a productive real estate agent. So I wrote down the following. A, decide on the things you really would like to have in the business and in life. What are those things you really want to have in business and in life? It's funny, a couple of weeks ago, we were coming from somewhere, because we always are, Sabrina and I, and she said, what kind of goals are we going to set for 2015? I said, what would you like to accomplish? She said, we should set some health goals. I said, great, I'm all for that. I said, tell me why you want to bring that up. She goes, well, you're 69 years old. You're going to be 70. I want to keep you around a long time. I need you to be healthy. I said, so do you want me to set some health goals, or are you setting some health goals? Or are we setting some health goals? We need to clarify what it is you want. Because if you don't know what you want, what are you gunning for? What are you trying to accomplish? Once you decide, I wrote down letter B, write them down. Write down the goals that you've set. Letter C, list all the obstacles that will get in the way and the solutions. Let's say you say to yourself, this year I want to take 40 listings. I've never taken more than 20. I want to take 40. What are the obstacles? Well, one is complacency. Second, your average sales price could be real high. Third, your average commission check could be real big. Fourth, maybe you don't have any real need to make additional money and have any real use for it beyond the fact that you're doing more deals. What's the solutions? So I want to write down the obstacles and write down the solutions. Fifth, set deadlines for each of the goals you've set. Well, obviously, 2015, I want to do 55 deals. The deadline is December 31st, 2015. What about January, February, March, April, May, June? How about monthly? How about quarterly? Deadlines. I want to implement this into my business. I want to start doing more of that, and I want to do it by this time or this date. Then I said, put any action items you have to follow down on paper. What are the steps you have to take? And then put them in a logical order. Are there 5 steps you have to take to accomplish your goals for the first quarter of 2015? What are those action steps? Mike, for the first time, I got to start calling my database. Great. How many are you going to call per day? How big is your database? Well, I have 400 names in my database. Okay. And if you talk to them 4 times a year, that's 1,600 times you have to call your database. But if you work 250 days, you only have to call 3 or 4 a day. See, it's an action item. You can do that. And then I wrote down next, visualize your goals. Keep the number 55 written on the wall. Every time you do a deal, cross it out, write 54. Do a deal, cross it out, write 53. I learned this from a guy named Joe Girard, who's in the Guinness Book of Records as being the greatest car salesperson in history. The guy sold 7 cars a day, 6 days a week for years. Sold Chevrolets in Detroit, Michigan. #1 salesperson in the world for selling cars. And all he said to me is I would write the goal 7 down on a piece of paper, put it on the wall. Sell a car, cross it off, write 6. And I wouldn't stop till I was down to 0 every single day. And then I wrote down last, be persistent. Don't quit because you have a bad day. Because you know what? If you're going to be self-motivated, which we have to be, and if you're going to define what you want to accomplish, which you have to do, and you understand that success is the progressive realization of a worthwhile goal, you know you're going to have some bad days in the process. It goes with the program. Nobody said, you're going to look through rose-colored glasses and it's going to be a wonderful world. Guess what? There'll be days when a deal falls apart, when an appointment does not show up, when you have a listing you're going to get that goes with somebody else. These are all part of life. So accept the fact that the persistence is what makes it work. So let's review. Decide on what you want, write those goals down, list the obstacles and solutions, set deadlines for obtaining these goals, put your action items and steps in order, obviously visualize those goals, and be persistent and don't quit. Let's make 2015 your best year ever. Today, we can think about it. Tomorrow, we can plan it. And then the next day, we can start doing it. See you next week.